I want to get into our message this morning, going first to our key text in this sermon series, God with Us. Behold, a virgin shall conceive, or shall be with child, and bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us, found in Matthew's Gospel, Matthew chapter 1, verse 23. I love that I get to bring this message today, because it couldn't be in more. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm happy to be in this garment today, because it couldn't be in more contrast to what our message is on. And our message is on that God is with us in the storms. And we all love California, in particular Southern California, or at least we try to. Some days are harder than others maybe, but we all love Southern California for various reasons. But perhaps the most popular that you're going to hear is the weather. And if today, the doom and gloom of today has just gotten you sad, I wanted to bring some perspective. So I took a look. And in the city of San Francisco today, it's going to be a high of 45. So you've got that to be thankful for. You're not in the windy, cold, marine layer city of San Francisco. And maybe that wasn't enough for you. So I went ahead and I did some more homework. In the city of New York today, it's a high of 29. Now, my favorite is that it says it's 29, but that it feels like 13. I'm just curious what 13 feels like. But cold, right? Miserable. And so, yeah, New York is 29. Maybe this still isn't enough for some of you, so I did a couple others here. How about Chicago? 11 degrees. Is Southern California looking a little nicer, right? Are you a little happier to be in your little Hawaiian outfit today? It feels like 3 there. So there it's 11, but it feels like 3. I feel like there's at some point on the weather scale that it just gets cold, right? You can give it whatever number you want. I'm freezing, right? Just like heat. You can put whatever triple digit number there. It's just hot. But when you say, well, it's 11, but it feels like 3. Well, I wasn't really good with 11. And I'm not really okay with what it already is, and now you're telling me it's even worse. I did this one for Samir, and I'll let him know I gave him a little shout out, because go Pack go. But in Green Bay today, it's 10. So it's 1 degree colder in Green Bay than it is Chicago. My favorite, though, is, it doesn't have it on here. Earlier, it said that it felt like -5. And so the low says -5. It feels like what is -5? So I will say here it's 70 degrees.
It's hot.
Right. And this was more apropos to probably earlier this week on Tuesday. On Tuesday it was 36 in Chicago, 32 in New York, 27 in Green Bay, 54 in San Francisco, and here it was 82 degrees. I was in flip-flops and shorts and was talking about going swimming in December. So anybody watching online, eat our sun rays, because we enjoy it here in Southern California. I love it when people here, though, do complain about the cold and the rain. Because it happens, 5 days a year, and we're like, and it's like, just 5 days. Just give me that, right? God didn't call me to Seattle. He called me to La Habra. Just give me 5 days. I'll take the 5, and then we'll move on. But you hardly ever experience it, and then when you do, it's rarely severe. The lowest record temperature in downtown Los Angeles is 28 degrees. And that was set on January the 7th, 1949. My mom wasn't even born yet. I don't know if most anybody was born yet. In January 7th, 1949, and if you were alive at that time, you don't remember January 7th, 1949. And so it rarely ever gets really bad. 28, it's 10. It's 10 in Green Bay, and they're wearing no shirts at the game today, I'm sure. They're crazy there, right? They're crazy cheeseheads. But am I the only one, while we're on this kick, I guess, am I the only one that thinks it's weird that we name storms? I've always thought this was a weird thing. My earliest memory as a kid was Hurricane Katrina. That was the big one in New Orleans. And I always thought, because I had a cousin, Katrina, and I was like, that stinks, right? Like, your name gets known as the name that caused such devastation and destruction. You know, there's other hurricanes like Ike, and then there was Irma and Harvey. And, you know, could you imagine if we named our everyday issues? Maybe they would be easier to, like, you know, maybe you could handle your stomach ache better if you called it Tummy Ache Samantha. I don't know. Maybe it would be easier if you could deal with Migraine Phil. And what kind of category you wanted to list that as. In 1954, U.S. meteorologists started naming storms after girlfriends and wives. What a different time to be alive. Because I could just imagine, you know, Hurricane Megan coming through the Gulf Coast. You know, we saw this Category 5 storm, and we know it's going to make landfall and hurt a lot of people, so I thought of you, and we're going to name it after you. Like, doesn't really seem like the most charming thing. In 1979, though, we got equal rights for naming of storms, and so men started getting their names put in the hat as well, so that's just really thoughtful of us. And then we also, in that same year, said, well, if it's a really bad one, we won't use that name anymore. So that's really thoughtful. But it's silly to name storms until we do it. When we go through a storm in life, and it's the storm of betrayal, it's the storm of divorce, it's the storm of financial storm, it's the addiction storm, it's the storm of cancer. And when we face that storm, one of our first questions is, where is God? Why did He allow this to happen? Why isn't He doing something about the storm? Why isn't He moving the storm along? Why is it still here? Why am I still in the middle of the eye of the storm? Why isn't it continuing on? God is with us is the title, or God with us is the title of our sermon series, and yet this is the area where I feel like we really struggle the most to see God being with us. And that is in the storm, because it is often the first question we ask, where are you? And some of us, we ask that because we know He's there, but we don't see Him. But for others of us, we ask that objectively, as if to suggest He isn't there. God is with us in the storms, difficult times that blow up out of nowhere. When you're faced with tremendous loss, though, where is God? When you're met with betrayal and you feel completely alone, where is God? And so, the first point I want us to look at is where God is found. And I need you to understand this thing. If you're somebody that writes things down and you need something to read on Tuesday on your fridge to get you through the week, write this one down. Never let the presence of a storm, never let the presence of a storm cause you to doubt the presence of God. There once was a group of men on a boat, and a massive storm hit. And panic ensued. And they began to throw cargo overboard, and they're terrified. And no, I'm not talking about Jonah. But in fact, in the book of Acts, chapter 27 and verse 20, it says, when neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and no small tempest lay on us, all hope of our being saved was at last abandoned. This message is for somebody today who is about ready to give up all hope. That your marriage is not going well and you feel like it's not going to make it. That you're always single and you feel like you're always going to be alone. That you're never going to get out of debt. That you're never going to have a child. That my family is never going to serve the Lord like they should. The storm continues raging and you don't mind some rain, but a break in the clouds would be nice. In verse 21, he says, since they had been without food for a long time, Paul stood up among them and said, men, you should have listened to me and have not sailed from Crete and incurred this injury and loss. As spiritual as Paul was, as much of a leader as Paul was, he was still human. And he wasn't above saying, I told you so. If you had just listened to me, you wouldn't be here. And we like to blame everything on the devil. That somehow the devil caused this storm. And yet, if we did some time to just do some reflecting, we might find that the devil didn't cause the storm I'm in, my stupid decisions did. That the devil didn't cause the storm I'm in the storm because I spent too much money. Because I mouthed off when I wasn't supposed to. Because I wasn't considerate. Because I procrastinated. Because I didn't listen. That's why I'm in the storm. Mama told you. Your best friend tried, and you didn't listen. Your pastor preached on it, and you thought he was crazy. You even opened a fortune cookie at Panda, and it told you, don't do it, run, and you didn't listen. Maybe this is one of the reasons they gave up hope. They were in this storm because of the decision they made. Easy to believe that God will get you out if God puts you in it. But it's a whole other thing to believe that God's going to get me out of this when I put myself here to begin with. Because sometimes we think, if I got myself here, I got to get myself out. Because sometimes that's how some of us were raised. You put yourself in this mess, now you've got to clean it up. Right? We raise our children that way. You made this mess in your room, clean it up. Nothing wrong with that. We bark at our 3-year-old all the time. Doesn't do any good. She still leaves it. And then Tiki comes over and cleans it up. That's why she comes over. We just have her come over so she can clean up all the toys around the house. But we teach our children, if you made this mess, clean it up. And so then we grow to be adults. We don't have any toys that we lying around the house for Dad to step on and say curse words. So now, when we make a mess in life, we think, well, if I made this mess, I got to get myself out of it. And here's the thing. You can't do it on your own. You might have gotten yourself there, but it's going to take a miracle for you to get out of it. You might have gotten yourself into that addiction, but you just saying things over and over again in your head may not be enough to get over that addiction. It may take a God who is greater to get you out of it. Yeah, He didn't put you there, but He certainly can take you out. Man, we like to blame Him. Even though we've put ourselves there. Have you ever gone through a storm because of someone else's dumb decision, though? I was just doing my business, and all of a sudden they did that. I don't even know, right? That was that was like the story of my entire teenage existence. Dad, I don't know how we got over that. It was Aaron's idea. I didn't know. He just went with it. And that excuse worked over and over again until my dad looked at me one time when I was about 16 years old. He said, at some point, son, you're going to have to surrender to the calling that God has given you. If you're going to be a leader, act like one. Otherwise, He's never going to give you the opportunity to lead. If you're going to constantly be blaming others for the reason you're in the storm you're in. Your parents get a divorce, or your parents fight a lot, so then you think that gives you the okay to act destructively because they put you in. I didn't ask for this. Or maybe you work for a company that made a bad decision, or you think that the company you work for is a greedy company, multi-billion-dollar company, so it doesn't matter if you steal from them, because they don't need it. You do, right? And they're underpaying you. It's not right. And we justify the storm that we put in because we think that even if I get myself into a storm, I can easily blame somebody else for it. So Paul goes on after he says, I told you so. Yet now I urge you to take heart. For there will be no more loss of life among you, but only of the ship. For this very night there stood before me an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I worship. More ways than you can imagine, God is with you in the storm. We talked a little bit, possibly on Wednesday nights, about possibly doing a study on angels and demons. And there are angels all around you. And His Spirit, on top of that, dwells in you, child of God. And the spirit realm is a mind-blowing study and something worth knowing, because I think many children of God suffer from the perspective of, I'm alone. And you could not be further from the truth to think you're all alone. Before me, even now, there is an army of angels holding back the enemy in check. It is possible to rebuke what the enemy is trying to accuse you of. Not because you hold weight, not because you're of any importance, but because the enemy is surrounded by an army more powerful than him, and more importantly, more powerful than you. We can never let the presence of a storm cause us to doubt the presence of God. Where is He at? He's in the eye of the storm. He's not on the outskirts, wishing you the best. Hope it all works out. He's right there with you. But where is joy found? Okay, God's right here. We're together. But where is joy found? This is the third week of Advent. The third week of Advent, we look at joy. Where is joy found? This message is supposed to be about joy. We just sang a bunch of songs about joy. Where's joy found in the storm? Well, I want to go away from Acts for a second. I want to look at 2 Timothy chapter 4. At my first offense, no one came to stand by me, but all deserted me. May it not be charged against them. But the Lord stood by me and strengthened me, so that through me the message might be fully proclaimed, and all the Gentiles might hear it, so that I was rescued from the lion's mouth. Psalm 16:8 says, I have set the Lord always before me, because He is at my right hand. I shall not be shaken. When you realize that God is beside you in the storm, you grow more confident, you live more peacefully, you love more authentically. There was this kid when I was in school. I wasn't going to put this story in here, but what the heck. There was this kid when I was going to school. We're just going to call him Sid, because just the slimmest chance that he might be listening to this story, I don't want him to come find me. So, his name was Sid. And he was head and shoulders bigger than everybody in the elementary school. Talking 5th grade, right? This is a serious story. And for years, he ran the playground. For years, nobody crossed Sid. And then 7th grade came. And in 7th grade, it got to be a bigger school. There was more kids and all this stuff. And then there was this new kid, Andy. And Andy was the same size as Sid. And all of a sudden, things started to change around the playground, how things were ran. Now, we didn't have playground in middle school, but things were ran around school just a little bit differently. Because suddenly, all of us were able to play a little bit harder and enjoy lunches a little bit more, and enjoy our experience at school a little bit more, because we knew if Sid was looking over our side here, Handy was going to be right there. What's my point in this story using Toy Story character names? Because I don't want to get in trouble with people I went to school with. My point in this story is that for some of us, it's all about who is with you on the boat. Because for some of us, we face waves the likes of which would completely overwhelm us, completely swallow us up. And so you got to ask yourself, who am I in this boat with? Who am I facing this storm with? Joy is not found in the absence of trouble. For some of you, you think that as soon as you're going to get through that trouble in your life, you're finally going to have joy. You're going to finally have peace. You're going to finally be able to love the way you ought to. And I'm here to tell you, none of those advents are possible, or are only in existence, I should say, in the absence of trouble. Joy is not found in the absence of trouble. Joy is found in the presence of Jesus. You want to get through the right storm? Be in the presence of God. And you're like, that doesn't make sense. You don't understand what I'm going through, and you're telling me that in order to just go through it, all I need is some Jesus. And I'm here to tell you, yes, it is that simple. And you are going to walk out of here, and some of you in complete disbelief of what I'm saying right now, because I can already see it on your face. You do not want to believe me that if you would just have Jesus with you in the presence of your storm, you would have joy. I'm not saying that if you just had Jesus, all your trouble is going to go away. That's a lie. The trouble remains, but you have a God now who is greater than the trouble. Go back to verse 23. He says, for this very night there stood before me an angel of God, to whom I belong and to whom I worship. And he said, do not be afraid. Paul, you must stand before Caesar. And behold, God has granted you all those who sail with you. You can't go down in this boat. You still have to stand before Caesar. You can't go down in this trouble. God still has a plan for you. There's still a work for you to do. I don't know what it is. But He does, and you need to seek it. If you're not dead, you're not done. He's not finished with you yet. There's still more people to bless. There's still more opportunities to give. There's still more people to point to Christ. And that ought to be our goal. That ought to be our heart's desire. Is who can I point to Jesus today? God will use what you learn in this storm to help someone through theirs. And for some of us, we don't like that. It's not good enough. But I am here to tell you, you survived cancer. Help someone else fight. You overcome unfaithfulness in your marriage. Help someone else forgive. You climbed out of debt. Tell others that they can do the same. You're 178 days sober. Tell others that Christ set you free. And that's kind of the theme here, what Paul's going to say. So take heart, men. For I have faith in God that it will be exactly as I have been told. Faith in not what I see, but faith is in what God says. If faith was in what I see, guys, I wouldn't be standing up here. Some of you have put your faith in a boat. You think that your hard work and your ambition, you think your last name, you think I'm young, you think whatever the boat is that you think is offering you some sort of fake security is the thing that is going to get you through it. But you need to put faith in the one who commands the wind and the waves. I could bundle up, wear multiple layers of clothes, get several different blankets to stay warm, or I could turn off the air conditioner. Some of us go to all this work when all we need to do is rely on the one that's in control of the thing that we think is going to overtake us in the first place. So we know where joy is found. It's found in the presence of God. And we know where God is found. He's right there with us. Where am I found? Because you will never have complete control. Listen to me. You will never have complete control of your life. Ever. And you are going to fight for decades trying to gain control, and you will never have complete control of your life. You can't control when the storm starts. You can't control how it hits. You can't control how long it lasts. You can't control what people do. You can't even control what they think. But you can control who you listen to. You can control what you do about it and what you say. You can control where your faith is placed. What he says will happen. That's what Paul's saying here in Acts. What he says is going to happen. And he says, look, yeah, I see the storm. Relax. Everybody that is with you on the boat, they're going to be fine because you have a job to do. So if he says it, then it will come to pass. Do we believe what the psalmist says in Psalm 46? God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. He's a very present help in the storm. Not out of the storm, not coming out of it or before it, but in the middle of it. But he doesn't stop there. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. Selah. Regardless of the economy, regardless of the political climate, regardless of no matter what happens, if I lose my job, I still will not be afraid. Why? Because he is with me. Because he will never leave me nor forsake me. Because he is what I need. Because he is my safety. He is my strength. Because he is my comforter. Because he is my source. Because he is my redeemer. Because he is my righteousness. Because he is a friend that sticks closer to a brother. Because he is the rock on which I stand. Because he is the bread of life. Because he is the living water that satisfies the soul. He is the gate through which I find peace. He is the God that directs my path. He is my comforter that ministers me in the time of need. He is my peace. He is my joy. Joy is not found in the absence of a storm. Joy is found in the presence of God. And we know where joy is found. We know who it is found in. But where are you in this picture? Still trying to convince yourself that religion and Jesus is not for you. Still thinking that you have him even though you're absent of joy. I'm here to tell you guys, if you have him and you're absent of joy, you need to search him. I don't care how long you've been a member of this church. I don't care your big story about who your family was and how many of them got saved and baptized. If you are absent of these Advents, if you are absent of hope, of peace, of joy, and next week, if you are absent of love, these are the characteristics of the one who lives in you. And so, I'm not here to massage egos. I'm here to give you the reality. Because there are many that will say, and many that will call him Lord, Lord, and he will look upon them and not know who they are. Because they have done their entire life putting their faith in a boat. when they should have put their faith in Him. And I'm here to tell you, these characteristics of Christ ought to be your characteristics. It is evidence of who is in you. The only movable being in this scenario is you. He will not be moved. He will not be swayed. He will not be intimidated. You, on the other hand, will. I, on the other hand, definitely will. God made His move. God made His move when He sent us His Son. Now it is time for you to make yours. I want to ask you something. I don't want you to answer it out loud, even though some of you might but don't. I want it to stick with you. I want it to sit with you. What storm are you in right now? And I know we're in Southern California where it doesn't storm. What storm are you in right now? Not the one you joke about, not the one you minimize, but the one that keeps you up at night. The one that made you whisper, God, where are you? Some of you are here today and the storm isn't outside, it's inside. And we think that as long as I'm in here, I'm good, but it's already raging in here. You look fine. You sound fine. And somebody's going to ask you today, how you doing? And you're going to say, I'm fine. But you're going through it. And you've exhausted from holding it together. Here's the hard truth that we've been circling all morning. The storm is not the problem. And you will spend your entire life convincing yourself that your storm is your problem. My addiction is my problem. My past is my problem. My health is my problem. And if I just didn't have this storm, I would be better off being me. The storm is not the problem. The question is, where have you placed your trust inside the storm? Some of us are trusting the boat. We're trusting the boat of our savings, our job, our health, our relationships, our ability to just figure it out, fake it till I make it. And we continue to go on, and God, in His mercy, will sometimes let the storm shake the boat so that we finally realize it was never meant to hold us in the first place. And I hate to see that. I've hated to see God-fearing families that once took up 3 rows in a church and were completely obliterated. And now most of them don't even serve God. And I hate to see that in the Lord's work. But I see it more often than not because that's the boat they put their faith in. And so if it takes that to wake you up, then you should be ashamed that that's what it took to wake you up and not be angry at God that it happened in the first place. Paul didn't say, I believe in this ship. Therefore, we'll get there on solid ground. I believe in what God has told me. Therefore, we're going to get there safe. Not the forecast, not the outcome, not the timing. God. Maybe today God isn't asking you to escape the storm. Maybe He's asking you to stop pretending that you can survive without Him. Some of you have been blaming yourself. I made this mess. And I'm not here today to deny that for you. You may be right. You did make this mess. But hear me clearly. Even if you caused the storm, God didn't abandon you in it. He did not allow you to be in the storm only for you to go, well, now that's your punishment. The rest of your life, you're to be in this storm. The same God who calms storms is the God who stays with you while they rage. Matthew 1:23 doesn't say God is with us in life when it's calm. It just says Emmanuel, God with us. Period. And so here's the real invitation today. Not try harder, not do better. I despise those kind of invitations, not get your life together, because it's judgmental and all of us could try harder, do better, and get our life together. Anybody that's sitting here thinking you got it all figured out, no. And I'm going to be praying for you because God's about to humble you. You don't have it figured out. But I want you to move closer. It's not lost on me. I don't say this judgmentally. It's part of our culture today. It's not lost on me, though, in the culture of church, that we have formed the back of the church and not the front of the church. It's easier. It's less confrontational there. I'm behind somebody. I don't have to. I'm not within spit range of the preacher. I'm good. But I want you to move closer. I want you to stop drifting. Stop isolating. Stop pretending you don't need it. Stop blaming things like, well, I'm an introvert, so that's why I don't talk to people. God did not design you to not be vulnerable with others. I'm not asking you to be everybody's best friend and tell everybody the latest joke. What I'm asking you is to be vulnerable enough, if at least with Him, to be honest with Him, to talk to Him. And maybe you'll realize that His people don't bite. Joy doesn't come when the storm stops. Joy comes when you finally say, Jesus, I trust you. And I trust you more than what I see. If you feel weak, overwhelmed, afraid, you're in the perfect place to discover that He is really with you. Are you willing today, though, to step toward the one who is already with you? There's always been times, Aurora, that she gets scared. And she grabs onto me as if I wasn't already there in the first place. And that's what I'm inviting you to do with the Lord today. I'm not asking you to run to Him as if He's off in a distance. I'm asking you to just grab onto the one who is already there beside you. And I don't stand here as a man that is completely oblivious to the storms of anxiety, depression. I just saw a doctor this last week for this stuff. This is real things, real boats, real storms. And I didn't just tell my doctor this last week, I just need to pray more. And he's like, you're right. But what I did gain from the conversation I had with him, and what I did gain from the conversation I had with the Lord and reading His Word, is where am I going to put my faith in this season? The doctor's offering me a boat. Take this. Do I put my faith in that? And avoid what is making me anxious? The choice is yours. What am I going to put my faith in today? You desire that your family, that your children, that your spouses, that your aunts, uncles, and parents return to serving the Lord? Are you living a life that reflects something that they look at and go, I want what they have? Are you just putting your faith in words that are leaving the room and you're like, well, the Lord will make it miraculously happen? The Lord will just suddenly, miraculously change their heart. Meanwhile, I'll continue to treat them like dirt. No, it doesn't work that way. If you want God to work in someone else's life, you have to be available to be the representative of the one that you're talking to. So the question is where are we putting our faith today? Where are you? We know where God is. We know where joy's at. I see Aurora joy. But where are we? Where are we? Father God, I just thank you for your word today, and I thank you for this message.